Everyone has a unique book of life known as Akashic Records. Welcome to today's Spiritual Mastery interviews with Akashic Record readers, guides, and practitioners.
Hello, everyone. Greetings and welcome to Spiritual Mastery. You're coming to a very special time because I'm going to be doing some interviews with some amazing Akashic Record practitioners. And I am super happy to bring my guest up here today. We are going to be talking to the lovely Sheila Evangelina. So give Sheila a lovely round of applause. Bring it up for Miss Sheila. Miss Sheila, welcome to our
Thank
call
you.
today. I am so excited to have this conversation with you. You are one of the brightest, most lit up people I know. You're so excited and jazzed about the work you're doing. And let's just dive in a little bit, Sheila. So I'd like to ask you to just tell us your name, where you're coming from, what part of the world, and then we're going to dive right into with some of our interview questions.
Sure thing. That sounds good. My name is Sheila Evangelina, and I'm residing in Boston, Mass. I was born in the Dominican Republic and came over when I was 12 years old with my parents and all of my siblings.
Wow.
Um, but this is where I'm at right now, and hopefully moving around a little bit more in the future.
Yay! Well, Sheila, I am just so excited that you are here on this call. And I'm actually curious to ask, how did you get started on your spiritual journey, your healing arts journey? What kicked it off for you?
I can write a whole book about that. But I've always felt connected to spirit. Since I was yay high, I was connecting to the other side. I was making remedies for my little brother to fix his boo boos. Out of the blue, I will invent these things. But in getting older, I felt separate from my peers, different. So I shut that off and decided to be normal for a little bit. Um, 20 years ago, about, I started to again go back into meditation, yoga. And I said, this is just who I am. This is me. And it wasn't until last year when I had COVID
Mm.
that it really kicked in. It was high gear. Here we go. We're doing this now. There's no more time to wait. And I started channeling, actually, angels, archangels. And that's what started off for me.
Wow, that is so incredible. So you were already pretty plugged in even as a child, and you had this opportunity to grow into, grow with, and also listen to your gifts as it was knocking on your door, literally saying, please use me,
Yes.
please use
it,
me.
it
So,
took COVID and an
yeah.
Akashic record reading to just really like bang that door down and propelled everything forward. And it's been nonstop ever since.
So, for any new practitioners who are having this awakening into their purpose, what would you suggest, or what would you give them as suggestions? If you could give them three suggestions for taking that leap of faith, especially when your business, your work is knocking at the door, going, "Please use me." What would you suggest or give as advice to new practitioners who are scared to make that leap? They may be in a corporate job, they want to use their gifts, but they're scared. What would you
I,
suggest?
I can relate to that so deeply. First thing I would say is trust it. Trust you. You've done this forever, even though you may not be aware of it. Sometimes we push aside those nudges that we get as like, oh, that's just my mind chattering. Well, that's it. That's actually it. Those are your guides trying to push you through. So the first thing is just breathe into it. Just take that breath and let it flow. Put everything else aside. Find some time for yourself where you can be quiet. And that little voice that you listen to, those are your guides. And that stuff that comes through that you're not sure of, those things are your guidance. And I think the biggest part of this is not work. This is joy. This is experiencing life for the first time. As if you're a little kid and you're like, yay, we're gonna go play. This is that. And when you're living in joy, everything flows naturally. There's no pressure, there's no comparison to anybody else because you are your own being. And the biggest thing is just to let it flow and let it guide you.
Okay, wow. I love this answer so much, especially because the last person I just interviewed in spiritual mastery said, you have to do the work. And you're coming in with this statement saying you have to be in joy with the flow of
Yes,
work to do the work. So
yes,
these are great contrasts to each other, especially when you practitioners are wanting to make that leap of faith, but they're feeling like a bear. So
yeah.
I'd like to ask you, what did you do to get over that barrier to really believe in yourself and your gifts?
I started trusting that I could, that this was who I was. I started believing in myself, loving myself, enjoying myself. I think a lot of times we give this freely to everybody else and never turn it onto ourselves. And it took COVID to really begin to heal that for me. It took allowing for my guides to come in, surrendering that I was being guided. It took work in the sense that I had to allow myself to carve the time for myself.
Yeah.
And that's where we struggle, right? Because we give it to everybody else and we're like, oh, here, I can spend time with you to make you feel better. But when are we taking that time for us? And that was a big part for me. That was just getting to know myself. Who am I? What am I here to do? What is my purpose? Asking the big questions and really sitting there and trying to figure out the answers. And then networking, finding people that are like minded, stepping away from what you've always done, but in a joyful way, having fun, enjoying friends, enjoying yourself. That was the biggest thing.
And I got to tell you, Sheila, watching and observing you coming into your joy, coming into your work, coming into your practice has been such a beautiful. It's like I'm watching the movie of Sheila, and it's like you're the Mulan. You're the Mulan of your life. You're facing these dark forces in the form of old conditioning, beliefs, and fears, and you are showing up as a warrior to really face it head on. And you're doing it with a smile. You're doing it in play. You're doing it in joy, which I think is such a great way to approach a practice. Now, I've observed you do hard things, things that require you to get really scrappy, such as launching your website, showing up to do client sessions.
Mhm.
And I'd like to ask you, what have you learned about yourself in this journey of becoming a practitioner?
I've learned so many things. I've learned to trust myself. That the more I show up authentically as who I am, the more aligned I am to my purpose and my path.
Wow.
That the universe has my back. I've learned that in me being authentically for everybody else, everything that I need and may want is coming to me. The same output I'm putting, the same is coming in. Everything that is coming in is going out. It's like an
Ooh,
influx of love from everywhere. I've learned to rely on myself for that
ooh, that's a good.
and not look at it from outside myself. Whenever I've been feeling like I need extra,
Mm.
I've, I've learned to reach out to the people that have my back and trust that I am being guided in every step of the way. It has not been easy all the time, but for the most part, it's just been a matter of putting aside everything that I've been taught, everything I've picked up along the way, and just being who I am.
So let me ask you, Sheila, when you look at who you are now, and say you look at who you were in your 20s, which version of you do you like more?
Oh, goodness. I would not be who I am today if I hadn't been that version of me.
Exactly.
So I am very grateful for everything I went through. But we're talking mental illness, we're talking homelessness, we're
Wow. Yeah.
talking a lot of things that would bring anyone into despair. But I would not trade any of those lessons, because that's why I am where I am today.
Beautiful. Yes. I know that was a bit of a tricky question, right? But you completely just went kaboom over that question and said, let me just tell you how it really is. I wouldn't be who I am if I
No.
didn't go through those challenges in my earlier years. And this is really important, I think, for a lot of people who may be watching this video, or even you practitioners who desire to be of service, that sometimes they look at their past and they judge themselves. And it's often judgment that clouds the intuition, clouds the vision, clouds the trust. So
Yes.
I'd like to ask you a really charged question that many people I know deal with, which is, how do you get past self judgment so that you can be in the state of joy?
I don't know if I get past it. I embrace it because it brings a
Ooh,
lesson with it. Uh,
yes.
every time I feel a little bit of that roaring back up, I try to see why is roaring back up. Where is the lesson there for me? How can I put this into a perspective of growth, right? How
Mm,
can I spin that around? Um, and that's what I've been working on. So I'm embracing everything. The moment I try to negate the judgment, the more it comes up, and it keeps coming up, and it keeps making me nutty. So I said, let me just open it up. Why is it coming up? What is it trying to teach me?
yeah.
Yeah. And just sitting with that. And a lot for me has been sitting with myself. The more I sit with the emotions that come up, the more I allow them to come up and not judge them, the more I can hop back into 5D, right?
Yeah.
Step out of the reality that we're living in currently, and rise above that.
Well, I'm going to ask you a very charged question. The whole part of sitting with yourself. Now, we live in a very busy life. Things are always happening, moving, time is moving quick. So when
Yeah.
you're saying, I sit with myself, for anybody who's listening or watching this video and they're hearing, you got to sit with yourself, it can bring up all kinds of feelings from discomfort to, I don't have time for that. So I'd like to ask you, Sheila, for somebody who's listening to this right now, what would you suggest for them to take that time to sit with themselves? How do you make time to sit with yourself?
Okay. This is a good one.
Yeah, this is.
We all think about meditation and it's like, I don't have 20 minutes to try and be silent.
Yeah.
Where am I going to get that from? I have a family, a job. Oh my goodness, the world is moving around, right? For me, it began with a simple 5 minutes. 5 minutes in the morning.
5 minutes,
Five
guys.
minutes. Thank you so much for everything that I have right now. And I would just be in that gratitude space. I'm
Mhm.
grateful for everything in my life. And when I say everything, I mean everything. And allowing for that to sink in. I think a lot of us don't necessarily believe how the attitude of gratitude is as powerful as it is. Just sit in everything that you have in your life, 5 minutes for anything that's going on. And when you don't have those 5 minutes because you're waking up late, put up a song. Put on a song that makes you go somewhere else and
Okay.
jam to that.
Yeah.
That's another 5 minutes. And if you like to paint, paint. Anything that puts you in the emotions of joy, the frequency of gratitude, is sitting with yourself.
Yes.
Even though it seems very simple, that is in the simplicity, that's why it works. You don't have to think about too much. Just put yourself in a state where you're being grateful and joyful, and you're feeling that in your body, and that resonates inside your heart. And it starts like that, and then you will begin to listen to two songs instead of one, and then you'll find 10 minutes instead of five, and then you'll be outside playing in nature with your kids. You find the time because it makes you feel so good. And
Okay.
you, and that's the biggest thing. So finding time, It's not as difficult as we make it seem.
Sure, sure. Especially because there's a lot of people that can spend easily 5 or 10 minutes on their phone scrolling through stuff. And
Yeah.
that 5 or 10 minutes that they're giving to something else could be directed to themselves. But what I find is that it's almost as if there's this trance that humanity is in, that if they give themselves attention, it's deemed selfish,
Yeah.
or people call it narcissistic if you are too into yourself. And I don't ascribe to that word when you're doing self care.
Hmm.
So, what has self care really taught you about spirituality?
Self-care has been the biggest thing. If anything, that's where after having COVID, it started for me. Making sure I was getting what I needed as far as water, food, that I was showering, because COVID was difficult.
Yeah.
But it was taking those little steps, right? And then making sure that I knew that in modeling the behavior for my children, I was giving them a gift. Take that time. You don't necessarily have to be outputting all the time because your cup's going to be empty. So for me, it began to shift after COVID when I really started to focus on what do I need?
Mm.
What do I want? What am I looking for outside of myself? Like a lot of people say, self care is so expensive. You have to pay to get a massage, blah, 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 all these things, right? I
Yes.
bought oils and I would give myself massages wherever I was hurting. It doesn't have to be an expense and it doesn't have to take all of your time. And the same way that you do it for everybody else, taking those 5 to 10 minutes for you
Mhm.
will change your life.
I completely agree. Yes. And I have seen you really blossom into your power as an Akashic Records reader. So let's talk a little bit about what is this magical offer that you have around Akashic Record readings. First of all, I'd like to just ask you a little bit about what was your experience going through becoming an Akashic Records guide, and how did that increase your confidence to be able to read the records for others? So if you could just share us a little bit about your experience, that would be awesome.
Sure, becoming an Akashic Record Guide was opening a whole other world for me. First, I had to show up for myself because, your brain likes to think you have other things to do. But carving out that time and being with like minded people and being surrounded with so much love and community and support was immense. I do not ever remember having this before,
Mm.
ever in my life. So it allowed me to expand not only my knowledge of the world and people and spirituality, but of myself with people, right? Can I trust that they have me, that they will cradle me? And it was a great exercise in self love. Going through this class was magnificent. It made me grow into who I am. It made me challenge beliefs that no longer serve me. It made me carve out more time for myself. It helped me find a route. Where am I going to put all this spirit in, right? How am I going to function with it in my life?
Yeah.
And it helped me anchor the learning to where I was confident enough that I could speak up
Yes.
and talk. And I'm telling you, that didn't take too long because my guys were like, "Speak up, girl. We need to hear you."
Oh, I remember that. Yes, I could see you in our class, and I could see like there were these things that wanted to come out of you, but you were like the gatekeeper. You were like, no, until eventually I was like, Sheila, I think you're supposed to say something, and we're not going to let you go until you say it. And that was like the trigger that you were like,
Yes.
I have to share this because my guides won't let me go.
Yes.
And that was you really honoring yourself and your gifts. And once you made that commitment to honor what showed up, you transformed into this magnificent butterfly, Sheila, that was such a conduit for spirit. So, for those of you that are watching this video and are wondering, what is it like to have an Akashic Records reading with Sheila Evangelina? Why don't you tell us what that experience is like for the end user? What do you provide? How do you support?
Okay, so right now I'm starting my practice and I'm trying to keep it as relaxed as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Doing an Akashic record reading is something big. You find out who you are. You find out true things about yourself that you're like, hey, I didn't know that about me.
Yeah.
But it comes with the whole package, right? You get your guides, you get the people that are guiding you in your life. So with me, we're gonna keep it relaxed, simple. We go into our heart center space. We meet over Zoom for about an hour, 20 minutes right now with the post discussion. And we just sit and talk. You bring me your questions, we open your records, we have so much fun, we enjoy ourselves, we keep it light and loving, and that's what it's about for me. This work for me is about joy. And I've had to learn that. And I want to keep that going. So right now I'm just offering Akashic record sessions, which are recorded, and you'll get the recording after our sessions. But that is going to be expanding soon. So
Ah. So let's talk a little bit more about the expansion, because I'm going to bring us here to you and I. And I'd like to just ask, you know, Human Akashic Records Guide, it accessed the Akashic Records, the channeling, the mediumship abilities, yet more things started to even show up. So you're doing light language stuff, you're doing art stuff. Tell us, tell the world what else you're doing as Sheila Evangelina.
well, I went from wanting to be normal to being this honorable weirdo. So So right now, which has expanded my abilities in such a way, because not only has my channel become clearer the more I remain authentic to who I am and continue to show up for myself, but it allows for energies of light, beings of light to that I can channel, right? That can channel through me. And it's brought in light language, which was a beautiful gift that I have become so enamored with, because when I don't have my 20 minutes to meditate, I can have 5 minutes with my light language,
Ooh,
and it raises my frequency, hones in my vibration, and anchors me in love. And I love it. It's been coming through. I've been channeling through painting, which I'd never painted before. And my guys are like, come on, keep offering those things. Speak up. Do your light language activations. Do your paintings. And that's what's coming up. I see the bigger picture here, right? Who else can we reach? There's so many people that think that they're going a little crazy. And it's all just an expansion of self.
yeah.
Um, and that's what's coming up for me a lot. Also, some children books are coming up, which I love writing and I love kids, so they marry each other well.
Oh, I
Uh,
think that's incredible. Now I'm noticing a little piece behind you, and I believe that it's on behind your right side. I think
oh,
that's one of your pieces that you showed us that you channeled from your light language work. Would you be willing to share with us a couple of your pieces that have shown up?
sure. I That one that you see on the back is actually my light avatar.
That's right.
And that came through in our Become an Akashic Records Guide class. It
Yes.
just, that was my very first one. I had never grabbed brushes and paint before. And my guides were like, you need to do this. And my light avatar, my higher self, was coming on so strongly that I needed to capture that
Yes. Yes.
in some form. And it's remained there because it anchors me to remember that I am so much more than this vessel, right? So
Yes.
anything that happens around me doesn't mean that that's who I am. Also, I my latest one is this piece where you can see
Ooh.
this is my a small representation of my light avatar. When I meditate in my sun chamber with the
Yes.
sun,
Okay.
this is what I see, and then there's little light coats coming
Yes.
through over here. I don't know if
Wow.
that.
Love it. I love it.
So I've been I've been doing a lot of painting lately because a lot has come up as far as cycles and how we are all shifting into a more expansive awareness of self, and not only individually but for our whole entire collective. Our whole humanity is shifting to realize that we're not just this, and there is so much more, and we're never alone. And in drawing and painting and getting those messages and downloads for my cosmic guides, my interdimensionals, has anchored so much for me. There's not a time that I feel at a loss anymore, because when I do, the first thing I do is I reach out for them.
Yeah.
And that has helped. The light language has helped me a lot. Now I'm starting to do some light language signing,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Yes.
Uh, and actual light language transmissions coming through, which I'm recording.
Great.
So the expansion keeps happening, and I'm here for it.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear that. The expansion is happening, friends, and Sheila is here for it. So if you are watching this video and you have been experiencing a lot of symptoms tied to ascension, such as anxiety, stress, difficulty sleeping, emotional ups and downs, so many questions. This gal here is the one you can go to. Now, I have here a link for you and your website called expanded-awareness.com. So, what are
Yes.
you offering the world right now through Expanded Awareness?
So right now, through Expanded Awareness Living, which is the name of the website, is Akashic Record readings. That's all there is right now, but that doesn't mean it's the only one right now.
Oh, yes, I know. I have
Yes.
a feeling that you'll be offering some light language sessions. You may even
Yes.
be offering some light language art when you're
Yes.
sitting with people. So, my friends, we have ourselves the opportunity to get in early with
Yes.
Sheila as she is creating this bridge in her work with the light language. You are going multi-dimensional, Sheila.
Yes, I am.
I am so impressed. I really am. It's so awesome to watch you just soar into these higher levels of knowledge and experiences. So, if you had to pass a message on to someone right now who may be watching this video and they're feeling that pull, they're feeling that desire to start or to listen to their guides, but they're just stuck, they're just not sure how. What would your message be for this person?
I would say listen to that pull. Follow that guidance. Allow for that to come through. Surrender to the magic that is in your life, right? It doesn't necessarily have to take any sort of shape or form,
Mhm.
but to do the stepping aside and just breathing into your heart center and allowing that. Oh, I'm not so sure, but that little but, that is your calling. That is what you're here to do, because we're all here for a bigger, higher purpose. We
Yeah,
all have a mission and a path that we are going to be called to follow. And that little but is that following. That little bit is that guidance. So trust that. Give yourself permission um, to allow for that to come through you. Awaken it, explore, and find like-minded people. Join the community Akashic for the Akashic readers. Join in. Um, the biggest thing is to trust that that is your true calling. Trust that. If there's a little voice still in the back of your head after you listen, trust that. Follow that guidance. That's what's gonna pull you through.
that is so good. That is so, so helpful, Sheila, because what you're really telling people out there is look within you to trust the answer rather than looking outside of you and asking a bunch of people, hey, what's the direction that's best for me? Now,
Yeah.
an Akashic Records reading does help one to get the awareness of where to go on their path, which is the reason why you are a great reader to help someone in their lives if they're stuck, because you have made such brave, courageous leaps in your life to get past the stuckness, to face the fears, and to really get onto this side where you are laughing, you are smiling, and most of all, you are in joy. Oh my gosh, my friend, you are in joy. So I know we're going to have to come back and do another interview, because when you're ready to share some of your light language healings
Yes.
with the world, I would love to be able to feature you again in Spiritual Mastery so that people have a taste test of what light language looks like. So, Miss
100%.
Sheila Evangelina, oh my goodness, you have made this conversation super fun. You guys, let's
Yep.
give Miss Sheila a wonderful round of applause. Thank you so much, Sheila, for your time today. Now, if any of you are watching this video, you can catch Miss Sheila at expanded-awareness.com. Now, for those of you, please come back to Spiritual Mastery. Please come back to the Akashic Collective and watch these videos either in the Akashic Collective or YouTube. And if you like what you're seeing, you like what you're hearing, then please comment, like, or subscribe on our channel and let us know what else you'd like to see. All right, friends, have a great day. Thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you soon. Bless up.